It's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight's headlines, we have the head of state receives strong delegations from Harar regions of Ethiopia. Workshop on the reforms of statutory taxes of the public services at the People's Palace. In UN deplores expansions of Israeli colonizations in Palestine. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received in the Palace of the Republic high-level delegations of the authority of the Harar region led by the President of the region, Ordin Bedri. In addition to the President of Harar region, the Ethiopian delegation was composed of the regional President of the Harar Regional Assembly, Khalid Alwan Ishaq, and the Mayor of Harar, Bekele Temesgen, as well as the Director of Urban Development of the city of Harar, Mr. Abdul Hakim Abdul Malik Yunus, without forgetting also the presence of the Ethiopian ambassador to Djibouti, Honorable Abdul Aziz Mohamed, who took part in these meetings. On the agenda of the discussions between the President and his hosts today was the state of friendly relations between the two countries and the two peoples, as well as ways and means to further promote and develop them. The visit of the delegations led by the President Ordin within the framework of the 3 days working trip that this delegation is making at the invitations of the Prefect of Artas region. Indeed, this visit comes within the framework of the revitalizations of exchanges and experience the consolidations of twining links between the two towns. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mohamed Abdullahi Waisa. For its part, Ordin Bedri and the Prefect of Arta thanked the President for his availability, support, and desire to participate in strengthening the ties between the two cities. Finally, Ordin's and its delegations invite the President of the Republic to come and pay a second official visit to historic city of Harar, where he was the guest of honor and made statement at the official tribunes of the 10th Festival of Ethiopian Nationality. The Prefect of Artas region, Mohammed Sheikh HASSAN, and the President of the Regional Council, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mohamed Abdullahi Waisa, have indicated in turn that this visit intervenes in the framework of for strengthening exchanges between Harar region and Artas region, which starts in 2010, and the two regions wish to enhance their cooperations and exchanges in the economic, commercial, and tourism fields. Djibouti aims to start building a mini-satellite in partnership with the university. This was the objectives of the meeting yesterday between the President Ismail Omar Guelleh and the Director of the Montpellier Space Center, Laurent Dasdo. During the meetings, the implementations of a project to create a nanosatellite for Djibouti was discussed. First for Djibouti, which is turning towards space technology in partnership with the University of Montpellier. The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, had a working meetings this morning at the Presidential Palace with the directors of the space centers of University Montpellier, Professor Laurent Dasdo. Professor Laurent Dasdo, also directors of Montpellier Space Center, is present a project to create a nanosatellite and the steps to follow to acquire this high-performance technological tool. This, the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed, Secretary General of the Minister of Higher Education and President of University of Djibouti, attend the meeting. This ambitious project aims to create a nanosatellite made in Djibouti that will start with the trainings of young Djiboutian researchers and engineers who will be sent to the University of Montpellier, becomes executive nanosatellite. Under the high patronage of the Prime Minister, His Excellency ABDOULKARIM MOHAMED, the Ministry of Labor is in charge of reform administration is organizing in the Hall of the People's Palace a ceremony to launch the work of reforming the statutory text of the civil service under the theme for a modern and efficient civil services. Upon his arrival, the Prime Minister is welcomed by the Ministers of Labor in charge of administration reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, and Mr. ABDOULKARIM, the Budget Minister is ABDOULKARIM ADEN CHER. Prime Minister ABDOULKARIM MOHAMED visited the stands set up at the entrance of the People's Palace to take part in a colorful ceremony. The ceremony is animated by a projection that covers the archives and various reforms undertaken by the Ministry of Employment to improve the living conditions of civil servants. The objective of this ceremony is the establishment of an ad hoc commission chaired by the Prime Ministers for the reforms of civil service, several members of government, parliamentarians, the mayor of the city of Djibouti, Secretary General of the ministries, and the Director Generals of Public Administration took part in the ceremony. For his part, Budget Minister ABDOULKARIM ADEN CHER said that many reforms and alterations have been put in place since the major administrative reform. Listen to the report.
Permettez-moi tout d'abord d'exprimer mon immense plaisir de prendre part à cette cérémonie de lancement des travaux de la réforme des textes statutaires de la fonction publique.
First of all, I would like to express my pleasure at taking part in this ceremony to launch the work on the statutory text of the public service, a ceremony which was an important step in the sense that the reform of public administration has always been at the center of the authorities' concerns, and the reform of the statutory text of the public service is an essential component of the reform program. Our country, which has embarked on a program of economic and social development, is important with heavy investments in infrastructure pillars, must have the administrations at the service of development. An administration take efficiency with qualified officials motivated and equipped with modern management tools and produces simplified producers. It is true that more than 20 years, many efforts have been undertaken to reform the administration, and the latest joint initiative between my department and the Ministry of Labor is to invest in the training of state personnel is a commendable action that is in line with the development of human resources.
The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, explained in his speech that the ad hoc committee set up will have to carry out its tasks to reflect and consult all the citizens in order to give them fairly according to the merit. Listen to the report.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, votre participation et votre présence ici nous réconfortent à plus d'un titre.
Mr. Prime Minister, your participation and your presence here comforts us in more ways than one because it is proven of your attachment to the success of the reforms that the government has been kind enough to initiate to better qualify our administration. Central dispositioning of your concern to make the administration a sole institution efficient, respectable in the service of the country, and this is in accordance with the vision described by His Excellency the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. I am happy and honored to bring before you this project of transformation of the public service through the reform of this extra supervision, which we are convinced that this initiative is beneficial and hopeful. Beneficial because we have the duty to give to our administration the means of its transformation. Hope because we have the duty to support number of agents of the state which challenges us that a murmur. The impatience to see the renovation of our statutory texts which will centrally guarantee them more equity but also more freedom in the choice of their professional career.
Prime Minister ABDOULKARIM MOHAMED, who is also chairman of the National Commissions for Administration Reform, said in his speech that he will fully and personally oversee the smooth functioning of these commissions to put in place legislation that will benefit every citizen in office in terms of legal degrees and diploma. Listen to the report.
Les travaux de ces groupes de travail composés d'administrateurs au fait de ces questions et appuyé par l'équipe de consultants.
The work of this working group made up of administrators familiar with these issues, supported by the team of consulates, in particular expected whether on the part of politicians or on the part of those concerned as indicated by the previous speakers. And in particular the Minister of Work who truly believes in this reform, and I urge the ad hoc committee to comply with its directives and legislative and regulatory text governing the public service begins to date. Even if it remains correct and operational in several respects, however, today it is essential to make the necessary corrections and adaptations so that this excuse accompanies the evolution of society and the methods of intervention by the public authorities. And this is all the more essential in the context of the reform process, engaged by the heads of state for several years for the modernization of public administrations. Indeed, their work methods, the evolution of the performance requires that the text governing the civil servants who date for 30 years be adapted because it is ruminated with the public funds of civil servants and more generally the public official at the service of the citizens. It therefore constitutes an essential link for the proper functioning of the institutions, the efficiency of public and subtle actions, and the satisfaction of the eyes. As such, civil servants and other public agents must be treated in a fair and equitable manner while being the subject of regular performance evaluations and sanctions, if necessary. It is clear today that the sectoral reform introduced in recent years for certain parties of civil servants, however legitimate it may be, and certain inquiries in addition to have made the legal framework governing the public service somewhat readable beyond the corrections and the weight and the size of the obsolete provisions of the text. The work of this commission of coherence and proceeded in an exclusive framework. It is true, in a spirit of knights of all cooperation, the administration for its part will have to be available to support this work, and I demand that all people requested in this context collaborate as it should, and I will watch over it personally.
The President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mohamed Ali Ahmed, has received in his office Bisong Changai Dadeno, FAO resident representative in Djibouti. At first glance, the hosts of today's present his greetings to the President of the National Assembly and congratulate him on his elections as head of Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union. Discussions focus mainly on the holdings of the General Assembly of the Parliamentary Alliance for Food and Nutritional Security in East Africa, which will be held very soon in Djibouti. This General Assembly will bring together 11 countries of the African sub-region with the participation of FAO sub-regional coordinators based in Nairobi. The President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, received in audience on Tuesday's high-level technocratic delegation is composed, among others, of the Parliamentary Alliance of African Parliamentarians of Africa and on food and nutritional safety representative from the offices FAO Regional, FAO Djibouti IGAD, introduced by the Honorable Abdallah Barkat Ibrahim Ilyas Ahmed Hassan, founding members of the Regional Parliamentary Alliance. This working visit, which took place in the presence and with the participation in the particular of the President of the EAP FNS and the members of the Somali Parliament, the Honorable Abdi Hajj Hassan, head for the purpose of consulting with the Speaker Mohamed Ali Ahmed, the group Djiboutians of the modalities of hosting the three-round General Assemblies and other meetings statutory. It is to be recalled that during the sizes held in Kampala, Uganda, in last October, the Republic of Djibouti has, by unanimous decisions of the Second General Assembly, was invited through its parliamentary institution. The Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed Burhan, accompanied by the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, paid an early inspection visit to the Ali Une camp where the Rapid Intervention Battalion season started. In their visit, the Ministers of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament and the CMGA were assisted by the Chief of the Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, and the Deputy Director of the National Police, Colonel Abdurrahman. Among others, it is worth noting the presence of the Prefect of Arta, the Sub-Prefect of Ali Une, as well as the elders of the region arriving on board. Mr. Hassan Omar Mohamed Burhan was welcomed by the head of the Bir Battalion Commander Mohamed Assowe. Afterwards, the ministers of defense in charge of relations with the parliament, in the presence of General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, carried out the review of the troops to pay the honor. Thereafter, the whole delegation is led by His Excellency Hassan Omar Mohamed Burhan attend a brief presentation of the Bir Battalion. Let us know the presence of the Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Jama Qayad, commanders of the military school, President President Guled of Holhol. After the presentation, the Minister of Defense in charge with the relations with Parliament, His Excellency Hassan Omar Mohamed, was able to attend a series of demonstrations of technical know-how acquired during these trainings of the military. The demonstrations was divided into the three stages: the trainees from Holhol as well as the peer soldiers. Each demonstrate the military knowledge acquired in of warfare. It should be noted that the military school's President Guled of Holhol undertook 4 months ago 3 different simultaneously courses rewarding by certificate. It is an all-weapon military training for young recruits of the Air Force, basic courses and a first degree course exclusively for women. During the demonstration, female army personnel simulate a scenario in which, thanks to their military experience in combat, they distinguish the dislodge an enemy who had stormed an area. To do this, they first had to develop a strategic plan to drive the enemy back and forth into the retreat. Through this exercise, the female trainees demonstrate their knowledge and skills in combat, their availability to cope with fatigue. On the sidelines of the demonstration, the Minister of Defense Hassan Omar Mohamed Burhan, accompanied by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, the Chief of National Gendarmerie, the Deputy Directors of the National Police, and in the presence of the Prefect of Arta, the Deputy Prefect of Ali Une, had meetings with the elders of the Ali Une region on the harmful effects of smuggling. In his speech, the Ministers of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament raised awareness among local authorities on the fight against smuggling of illicit products, cigarettes, and cat, on the negative impact on the economies and development of the country. The minister called that without the involvement of the local population, the task is difficult. That's why it makes sense to work together and in harmony with the defense and security forces in order to assist them in this mission. Thus, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohamed Burhan observed firsthand the illicit product seized by the Rapid Intervention Battalion in their files of action. An important closure ceremony of high personality protection trainings for the benefit of about 15 of the Somaliland Republican Guard trainees took place this morning at Ali Sabih Joint Battalion. The ceremony chaired by Colonel Mohammed ABDOULKARIM, commanders of the Republican Guard, in the presence of Colonel Abdul Wasi Mohammed bin Mohammed, commanders of the Ali Sabih Joint Battalion, was attended by Mr. Abdul Fattah Said Ahmed, representative of Somaliland in Djibouti, Mr. Mohammed Ali Bide, Director General of the Presidency of Somaliland, senior officers of the Presidency of Somaliland, members of the Ali Sabih Regional Council, as well as military authorities and civil society in Ali Sabih region. This course which took place from 19 November to 23 January from at the training centers of Ali Sabih Joint Battalion was divided into two phases. The commander AHMED HASSAN said in his speech that it is a great satisfaction for our institution to salute the work done during these 2 months trainings and to participate today in the closing of this course of protection of high personalities organized for the benefit of 15 Somaliland trainees. This training, which took place from 15 November to 15 January 2020, at Ali Sabih Joint Battalion Training Centers, was divided into the two phases. At the end of the ceremony, the Somaliland PHP trainees were present with their certificate, and it's thanks to their efforts and dedication that this internship was accomplished. The ceremony ended with a special banquet followed by the Somaliland PHP internship facilitation discussion. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, MOUNA OSMAN ADEN, with the Secretary of State for Decentralization, Ahmed Aramis, moved these times to the Nasib city. Upon their arrival, the members of the delegations were welcomed by a jubilant crowd who gave them a warm welcome. The delegation, led by the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Secretary of State for Decentralization, did not miss the pleasure of sharing a moment of conviviality with the children of the foundation complex before taking part in a citizen meetings with the population organized by the Nasib District Councils and its team of the RPP Annex. Many inhabitants of the city, young and old, were present at this great ceremony to show their joy after the interventions of the head of district, who made historical reminders of the genesis of the city Nasib. It was the turn of the president of the district council to speak, thanks in turn all those who have participated for in the effective realizations of the city Nasib, without forgetting the progress made over the past years, such as the implementation of the R&D's Community Development Initiative sponsored by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity. The Secretary of State for Decentralization, Mohamed Al-Ramis, in his intervention, he reviewed the various initiatives carried out for the benefit of the population of the city. He also emphasized the need to strengthen cohesion, aid, and solidarity among the inhabitants. For her part, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, MOUNA OSMAN ADEN, thanked the inhabitants of the city of Nasib for their warm welcome. The minister indicated that her department pays particular attention to the inhabitants of the city, and that many social development projects have been launched. We wanted to share the week of social actions with the inhabitants of the city, and it is here that the tower ends, she said in substance. Also, within the framework of the National Week of Social Actions, the Minister of Social Affairs, Solidarity, MOUNA OSMAN ADEN, accompanied by Secretary of State for Decentralization, Mohamed Al-Ramis, went to the sports complex at Nasib City. The delegation led by the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, the Secretary of State for Decentralization, did not miss the pleasures of sharing the moment of delegation is the foundation of children's members of the ceremony of arrival of a new tag named Omar Dankali took place this morning in the old PDSA port. The ceremonies of the participation is of the President of Authority and Free Zone, Abubakar Omar Haddi, the Acting General Managers of Djibouti Port, Jama Ibrahim Darar, the Port Commanders, Mohamed Musa Abar, and the Omar Dankalia family were all present, coming directly from the Damen shipyard in Holland. The tag Omar Dankali arrived at its home port after a month of navigation on the seas belonging to APZDF. This new vessel is intended to strengthen the operational capacity of our port facilities with a view to making Djibouti's port a regional hub for maritime traffic. The President of Authority and Free Zone, Abubakar Omar Haddi, recalled that the new tugboat, which is baptized under the name of Omar Dankalia, this to pay homage to the great man who is working more than 50 years in the ports of Djibouti. He pointed out that the Republic of Djibouti had more than 5 ports, and that is essential to have this great, which is the tugboat that came directly from Holland, where it was being built. He went on to say that this was to strengthen the operational capabilities of our port facilities when we equipped this equipment. The Health Secretary General Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab has received a large consignment from the WHO consisting of 20,000 mosquito nets and also materials equipment to improve the diagnosis and management of malaria. In Djibouti, ceremony took place at CAM in the presence of WHO representative in Djibouti, the Dr. Ahmed Zwitan, the director of CAM, Mr. Dr. AHMED Hussein Miguel, and several ministries officials. This WHO donations is part of the preventive fight against malaria and also contribute to the improvement of the treatment of this disease on the curative level. The Ministry of Health family committed to conducting a multifaceted and multi-sectoral vector control against malaria and other viral fevers with the collaborations of all its technical and financial partners. For the international scene, UN deplores Israel's settlement expansionists in Palestine. Listen to Dini Musa.
The United Nations deplored on Tuesday the continued expansion of Israeli settlement activities in the occupied Philistine territories, as well as the threat by Israel to annex parts of the West Bank. The beginning of 2020 saw the continued expansion of settlement activities and the threat of annexation of parts of the West Bank, said the UN Under-Secretary General Political Affairs and Peacebuilding Rosemary DiCarlo. During the quarterly public debate of the Security Council devoted to the Palestinian question, the head of the Office of Political Affairs of the United Nations reiterated in this regard that all Israeli settlements are illegal from the point of view international law and therefore remain an obstacle to peace in the Middle East.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.